what's going on, everybody? This is Dylan Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what we're going to be doing is, as you can tell, we're going to be reviewing the Ohio State versus Penn State game. This game was so back and forth, defense, special teams, dumb mistakes, penalties, the refs, oh my god. It felt like every single time the game was going to flip to one team's momentum, it just flipped right back. Every time one team made a mistake, the other team one-upped them with a bigger mistake. Ultimately, Ohio State ended up winning 20-12. They should have been pretty much over around like the 4 or 5 minute mark of the fourth quarter, but Ohio State somehow decided to let Penn State linger around a little bit, but ultimately Ohio State was able to wrap it up. What I'm going to do is kind of give my full breakdown. If you're new here, I kind of do a full breakdown, review the game, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, kind of go over some high notes, low notes about what Ohio State did, right or wrong. And then we're going to be asking a serious question. What happened to Ryan Day from 2 years ago to now? Because it feels like with Ryan Day, it's like the whole philosophy of his offense has completely changed in some way. Is it Common Core or is it something else? We don't know. But I'm going to get into this, so without further ado, if you're going to enjoy, make sure you do drop a like. And without further ado, let's get into it. So let's kind of start off. 12-20. The game was pretty much a slow game, like I said in the beginning. First drive of the game for Ohio State, it was good. A couple passes to Marvin Harrison Jr. They were rolling down the field, got some momentum going, but ultimately they had to settle for a field goal. Penn State got the ball back, and they also got down the field, got a field goal. Now, the second quarter was like a back and forth, both teams making mistakes, but ultimately Ohio State was able to punch it in the end zone one time with Mike Williams for a rushing touchdown. But then Penn State was able to capitalize with a field goal going towards the end of the half. Nothing happened in the third quarter, but the fourth quarter did come along, and Jaden Fielding did kick another field goal, put it at 6-13. I was happy about that. And then we thought the game was going to be wrapped up at the end when Marvin Harrison Jr. had that little drag route for the touchdown. I think it was like 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13. He took a little drag route, ran it up around the corner, got in the end zone. I thought the deal was sealed. But no, with 2 minutes to go, Ohio State let Penn State just go methodically down the field. Yes, they were milking some clock. They got it down to about 29 seconds, but Penn State ended up scoring a touchdown. I think in that moment, they were thinking, let's go for 2-point conversion, which I don't really understand why, but then Joe Klatt, the announcer, did kind of give the mindset of, if they go for 2 here, and somehow they get the ball back in the onside kick, then they can easily go down here and score a touchdown, and all I gotta do is then kick the extra point and they win the game. And if they don't get the onside kick, it don't matter. So that's kind of think where they were going with that. Now I want to kind of get into the mistakes. Mistake number 1, I think it was the third quarter. Was it Fleming or whoever, number 4 for Ohio State on the defense? I think maybe who number 4 was. What are you doing when it comes to the punt, letting the ball just kick off your foot? I think it was like late third quarter, early fourth quarter. Ohio State had a lot of momentum going, and then it was like just as we had the momentum in our hands, and we could have gotten the ball maybe like the 50-yard line. The ball was bouncing back, kind of doing this funny thing on the 50-yard line, and we could have got the ball there. But no, you let the ball hit your foot. Penn State got the ball back. Luckily, our defense was able to shut them down and keep them from scoring points, but it was once again just a stupid mistake we made. When it comes to penalties, here's the funny thing with penalties. The penalties they did throw were penalties that's like, why are you throwing that? The penalties they didn't throw, and that's where I want to move on to the refs, they didn't throw any flags. Like the amount of times where it was a blatant pass interference, they showed the replay, you could see the DB, whether it was Ohio State or Penn State, pulling the receiver's jersey all up on him. There was no fouls anywhere. Now when it comes to a penalty that did save Ohio State's ass, second quarter with like 7.5 minutes to go, Kyle McCord, I think it was like 3rd and 13, he tries to throw the ball. Ball gets smacked out of his hand. Ball goes rolling. Penn State defender picks up the ball, runs it in for the end zone. In this moment, I'm sitting here thinking, like, what in the fuck are we doing? But just as I'm debating thoughts that shouldn't be said on here, our Lord and Savior, the referee that actually likes Ohio State, calls a foul. Holding, defense. This boy, I think it was Joey King, he was holding all up on Marvin Harrison Jr. We got a lucky break, got the first down, we went down the field and was able to score the touchdown. And that right there, it was a 7-point swing that could have been with Penn State, but instead it went to us, and with that, it helped us be able to not be stressing super hard at the end of the game. Because if you think about it, look at the end of the game. Instead of it being us 13-6, it would have been them 13-6. And that touchdown we scored at the end of the game, that would have just been sealing the deal to get the game back tied. So like I said with the refs, overall when it comes to penalties, I believe there was only like 5 or 6 penalties for each team, but it was more or less the penalties that they weren't calling is what was pissing, I think, both fan bases off. Now let me talk about the Ohio State's defense real quick. And this can go for both defenses, Penn State and Ohio State's. I want you to leave me a question or leave an answer down in the comment section down below. Do you think this was a game of more really, really good defenses going back and forth against each other or really bad offenses going back and forth? Let me know that answer down in the comments, but when it comes to Ohio State's defense, they are some freaks of nature. And I believe Ohio State was playing without Denzel Burke, their number one corner, so they had to have some other guys step up. And it seemed like they did. Drew Aller, he went 18 of 42, had 191 yards, had the touchdown, wouldn't really count that. And if you take away that last drive of the game, he might be only at like 150 yards with like 14 throws that completed. Ohio State held Penn State kind of in check when it comes to the run game. They were able to get a lot of runs going in the first half, but by the second half, Ohio State shut them down. And the other crazy stat that really impressed me, until that last drive where Penn State was driving down the field and ended up scoring the touchdown, we had them, even then, they scored the touchdown, I believe, on third goal. We held them to no third down completions all game. Like, seriously, they went 1 of 16 on third downs. And the only third down they made was that last one of the game. And they also went 1 of 3. And once again, the only one they made was that last one of the game where they were just desperately trying to get something. There were a lot of throws that Drew Aller, the quarterback for Penn State, did throw that it seemed like they were just like forced throws. Obviously, Ohio State was getting pressure. A lot of out routes, a lot of seam routes. He was trying to force some throws. They weren't really sticking. Do I think Penn State's receivers were helping him a good bit? They looked like sometimes they were getting open, but Drew Aller just wasn't putting the ball where it needed to be. I've said it multiple times in these game reviews. I think when it comes to the defense, they are a bend but don't break defense. In the first half, they're going to kind of feel you out, figure out what you're trying to do. Are you trying to run the ball, throw the ball, run pass option, deep balls, undercuts, what out routes, whatever you're trying to do. And then by the second half, they're kind of figuring you out. Even in the second quarter, they're figuring you out, they're slowing you down, and they can take it from there. Now, in some sense, I want to say this defense shut down a really good offense because, I mean, Penn State, they've been putting up 60, 50 points on a lot of bad teams, which they should. But last thing I'll kind of say when it comes to Ohio State's defense, when it comes to Penn State as well, Penn State is not really the type of team that's going to chuck the ball downfield. They're not really trying to hit the big home runs. They want to just inch your way down the field, 5-yard throws, 10-yard throws, move the ball slightly downfield. And that hurt Penn State quite a bit in today's game because it seemed like with Ohio State, they couldn't stop the run there in the first half, and they brought everybody up. They were keeping one safety back. If you wanted to try to take the top off and you want to try to chuck one deep, you could. You had some one-on-one man coverages quite a bit in this game as well. It just seemed like Drew Aller wasn't taking his opportunities. Now let's move on to Ohio State's offense. When it comes to Kyle McCord, he plays good, just not great. The best way I can kind of describe what Ryan Day thinks about Kyle McCord, look at the end of the first half. I mean, seriously, when you look at his stats for Kyle McCord, 22 of 35, 286 yards, the 1 touchdown to Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, it's pretty average stats if you ask me. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter basically going and saying the best way you can kind of look at Kyle McCord and understand what Ryan Day thinks about Kyle McCord, look at the end of the first half, 42 seconds to go, 3 timeouts. Why are we not trying to do anything? CJ Stroud was at the game if you didn't know. If CJ Stroud was in gear and on that field, Ryan Day would have been like, okay, 20-yard pass Marvin Harrison. It's going to be a deep curl route. CJ, you ready? Let's go throw this thing. But with Kyle out there, it's like, he's missing guys, whether it's behind, in front, down, too low, too high. He's not getting his guys in motion. He's not hitting them while they're moving. It's like when they go and they stop and they turn and they're set. Yeah, Kyle's hitting his throws. But when the guys are in motion, they're moving around, they're running, Kyle just cannot hit the guys. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I think Kyle is still a good quarterback? I do. He's just got so much room to improve, and that's the scary part. Like, he's playing good so far. It's just he has, like, his ceiling. He's got more that he can grow on, he can get better at. He just needs to somehow unlock it. When it comes to the run game, they played average. I mean, they still can't run the ball up the center. Like Ohio State, they love like this gap scheme kind of runs where they like to do inside zones, run to the outside, and Penn State was shutting that shit down. And this is a good transition to my next point. Ryan Day, 3rd and goal at the 1. And what do you call? The play right before, Devin Brown came into the game, the backup quarterback. He does good on these little quarterback power runs. He was like the 7-yard line. He runs it up in the center. He gets to the 1-yard line. I think he got a sprained ankle. Hopefully he's going to be good. But we're at the 1-yard line now, okay? 3rd and goal at the 1. What do you do? I don't know about you, but I've watched enough Philadelphia Eagles football in the NFL to know brotherly shove, quarterback sneak, works about 92% of the time. But what does Ohio State do? Kyle McCord and Mike Williams. Let's go back to like the 5-yard line, hand it off, and then get stopped at like the 3-yard line. And then you could have just taken your 3 points there knowing that your defense is playing absolutely phenomenal right now. Take your points and move on. But no, they decided to go for it. Okay? I can get over that. Let's go for it. Let's try to get some touchdowns on the board. But what do? A slant to block, and then like a little zig whip route. Get it to Carnell Tate, and he goes absolutely nowhere. I swear Ryan Day has like the most big brain when it comes to calling plays. It's just sometimes he doesn't know when to call the right ones. It's like he has so many great plays in his playbook, especially like I believe it was the 2nd quarter or 3rd quarter, the little play for Marvin Harrison Jr. It's like he kind of goes up, he goes down, and he goes right up the sideline. He gets completely lost from the secondary. They have no clue where he is. It's like a 30-yard throw, and he just takes it all the way up to like the 40-yard line. But what does Ohio State do? From first 10, second and 12, third and 13, incomplete pass, we're punting. There was another time where Ohio State did absolutely nothing with what they were given. They had the ball at like the 20-yard line back on their own side of the field. But what do? They go back to like the first, and they go back, I think, on a false start penalty, 1st and 15. Then it's like the holding call. Then there's like 2nd and 25. Then it's 3rd and 27. Then it's 4th and 28. Luckily, the punter has a leg of a champ because he was able to punt that shit out of the end zone. I think he touched the white line with his heels, but we'll move on. But he punted the ball out of the end zone. It took a roll. For some reason, the Penn State returner didn't want to catch it. I don't care. But the ball did roll, got down inside their 25-yard line. I saw a lot of people even say online, if Ohio State loses this fucking game, Ryan Day needs to be held accountable to the highest degree, and they need to be looking at him saying, you just lost this fucking game. If you put on another performance like this, especially against the team up north, your ass is gone. Other than that, I mean, special teams, you did good. Onside kick team at the very end of the game, great job. I mean, you got the ball. That's the only thing we really asked you to do, and you did your job. Good job. When it comes to the field goals, you did good. That field goal that was missed at the end of the game, I see people ripping him saying, how the fuck are you missing that field goal? It wasn't missed. It was blocked. You heard it. It went boom, boom, kick, block. You heard like the double bounce. That was a block. It was on him. And besides, at that point of the game, you shouldn't really be getting pissed off about a block kick because the defense should have been able to hold them. Last thing I'll kind of say about this game is Ohio State defensively, playing phenomenal. At the end of the game, they need to play a little bit more pressure. They felt like they were gassed at the end of the game and they were just weren't even trying. And also they kind of knew we're up 2 scores. I think we're fine. And they were just kind of letting Penn State bleed the clock on their own. But I would like to see see Ohio State defense play a little bit more urgency there at the end of the game. Because sometimes you might want to go for a shutout. And that was one of those moments where it's like you can hold this team, a top 10 team, should have been top 5 if you ask me, to 6 points. You had the opportunity there, but you didn't do it. When it comes to special teams, keep doing your thing. You're doing good. Other than that return, or other than the gunner for Ohio State, number 4, get the fuck off the field. Either get the fuck off the field or use your eyes and look around. And the returner for Ohio State, usually it's Emeka Egbuka, but he wasn't on the field today. He was hurt. Whoever that returner is, he needs to be hollering out if he's not catching the ball. Get the fuck away to everybody so everybody knows don't go near it. But I mean, when you look at the stats, run game, like I said, was not there. Marvin Harrison Jr., shout out to him. 11 catches, 162 yards. He did phenomenal. I just think moving forward, Ohio State, they, I believe, play Wisconsin next week. In Wisconsin, that's going to be a tough environment to play in. Wisconsin, the team themselves, the offense has not looked great this season. The defense is good. The offense is not so great. So we might get another game like today next week. But other than that, that's been my full kind of game breakdown review of the Ohio State-Penn State matchup. If you want to enjoy today's video, as always, with all the videos that I do post here, make sure you do drop a like. It's very much appreciated if you do so. If you watched the entire of today's video, thank you very much. Leave a comment down below what your opinion kind of was of the game. If you're a Penn State fan, Ohio State fan, or a fan of any other team and you watched the game and you kind of want an opinion on kind of how the game went, what you kind of thought, who's responsible for what. Maybe it's James Franklin completely responsible for this game, Drew Aller, should he have done more? What was your kind of reasoning for what kind of happened in this game? Leave it down in the comment section down below. Be more than welcome to read about it, kind of give my opinion back to what you kind of think. If you are brand new to the channel and you're a fan of the content that I do post here, I post Ohio State's content, anything that has to do with news for Ohio State, football, basketball, or just doing a game recast for all the football games in the season. Go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified the second I post a new video here on the channel. But without further ado, this has been Don't Talk Sports. Have a great day. Peace.